Welcome back to the Path to Peace Therapy podcast. I'm Stephanie Buckley, parenting strategist and family systems coach, associate marriage and family therapist, and the mother of a thriving, now 23-year-old neurodivergent son with ADHD. I've also been married for over 3 decades, which means I've lived long enough inside a real family system to understand something parents are rarely told directly. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is make a decision your child will absolutely hate in the moment. Today's episode is not gentle. It is loving, but it is firm. Because too many parents are stuck, frozen, second-guessing themselves, waiting for permission to act while their child's nervous system continues to unravel. So I'm going to give you that permission plainly, clearly, and without apology. I'm giving you permission to take it away from your child. Most parents seek me out because they are overwhelmed, exhausted, and terrified of making things worse. They tell me, if I take the device away, everything will blow up, or I don't want to traumatize them, or this is the only thing that calms them down. And I want you to hear this with compassion, not judgment. That fear makes sense. When a household has been living in chronic dysregulation, parents learn to avoid explosions at all costs. The nervous system becomes organized around keeping the peace, even if that peace is fragile and dependent on screens. But avoiding dysregulation is not the same thing as creating regulation. If your entire home depends on a device to stay calm, that device is no longer entertainment. It is functioning as a nervous system crutch, and crutches are meant to be temporary, not permanent. Why this isn't about behavior? Let's get something very clear. Taking the iPad, phone, or computer away is not about teaching obedience. It's not about consequences. It's not about winning a power struggle. It's about brain development. Neurodivergent children, especially those with ADHD, already struggle with dopamine regulation, impulse control, emotional flexibility, and executive functioning. Screens don't just entertain that brain, they replace its entire reward system. Video games and social media deliver high-intensity dopamine with zero effort, which trains the brain to expect constant stimulation and immediate reward. Over time, this erodes frustration, tolerance, patience, and the ability to initiate non-stimulating tasks. So when parents say, he can't do anything without his iPad, what they are actually describing is a brain that has been trained into dependency. That is not a moral failure. It is a neurological one, and neurological problems require neurological solutions. Why it gets worse before it gets better. Here's the part parents panic over. When you take the device away, your child may lose it. Screaming, crying, rage, collapse, bargaining, accusations that you're ruining their life. And I want you to understand exactly what that means, because this is where parents often give the device back and say, see, it was too much. That reaction is not proof that you did harm. It is proof that the nervous system was dependent. When dopamine drops suddenly, cortisol spikes. The amygdala goes on high alert. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, cooperation, and self-control, goes offline. Your child is not choosing this reaction. Their nervous system is in withdrawal. That discomfort is not damage. It is detox. And no, that does not mean you abandon your child emotionally. It means you stay regulated, present, and firm while their brain recalibrates. For older kids and teens, social media adds another layer of toxicity. It doesn't just dysregulate dopamine, it hijacks identity. Likes become worth. Silence becomes rejection. Comparison becomes constant. For neurodivergent kids with rejection sensitivity, this is brutal. Emotional reactions feel extreme because their nervous system is being jerked between validation and perceived abandonment all day long. When parents hesitate to remove phones because they're afraid of social fallout, I want you to consider this. What is more damaging, temporary social discomfort or a developing brain that cannot regulate without external validation? protecting your child's nervous system is more important than protecting their access to a group chat. Screens don't just affect your child. They restructure your entire family system. Parents become negotiators instead of leaders. Siblings adapt around explosions. Routines revolve around access to devices. And the home slowly organizes itself around avoiding meltdowns rather than building skills. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But it does mean the system needs a reset. When parents reclaim leadership, not with anger, but with clarity, the entire household can finally exhale. Boundaries create safety. Predictability creates regulation, and regulation creates cooperation. The permission you've been waiting for? So here it is, clearly and directly. I'm giving you permission to take it away from your child, the iPad, the iPhone, the computer, the gaming console. You do not need their consent. You do not need a perfect script. You do not need to wait until things get worse. You are allowed to act proactively to protect your child's developing brain. You are allowed to tolerate short-term discomfort for long-term regulation. You are allowed to be the adult, even when your child is furious about it. Taking the device away is not punishment. It is containment. It is leadership. It is you saying, I see that this is hurting you, and I love you too much to pretend it's fine. You don't need a lecture. You don't need to over-explain. In fact, less language is better. Something like, this isn't working for your brain right now. My job is to keep you safe and help your body regulate. I'm here with you. That's it. You hold the line. You let their nervous system move through the wave without rescuing them back into dependency. That is how regulation is learned. You don't need a lecture. You don't need to over-explain. In fact, less language is better because too many words overwhelm a nervous system that is already dysregulated. A simple script works best. Something like, this isn't working for your brain right now. My job is to keep you safe and help your body regulate. I'm here with you. And then you stop talking. You hold the line. You do not negotiate. You do not rescue them back into dependency just because the feelings are big. You let their nervous system move through the wave while you stay calm and present. That is how regulation is learned, by experiencing discomfort without being abandoned or overstimulated. And here's the part parents often miss. Taking screens away is not about leaving a void. It's about replacing artificial regulation with real nervous system input. When screens go, something else must come in, something that provides sensory feedback, creativity, movement, or focus without flooding dopamine. This is where you redirect, not distract. Movement is often the fastest reset. Going outside to run, bike, jump rope, or throw a ball gives the nervous system proprioceptive and vestibular input, which helps organize the brain and lower cortisol. Art projects are another powerful replacement because they engage focus without overstimulation. Drawing, painting, sculpting with clay, or working with markers allows emotional expression while keeping the brain in a calmer, more integrated state. Puzzles and Lego-style building activities provide structured problem-solving that satisfies the ADHD brain's need for challenge without the dopamine spikes of screens. Reading especially graphic novels, comics, or short chapter books can gently reintroduce sustained attention without pressure. And simple drawing or journaling gives the child a way to process feelings that were previously being numbed by stimulation. Beyond those, there are many other regulation-friendly replacements that help rebuild internal control. Music is a powerful one. Listening to calming music, learning an instrument, or even drumming rhythms can regulate the nervous system through auditory input. Cooking or baking together provides sensory engagement, sequencing, and connection all at once. Board games and card games build frustration tolerance, turn-taking, and emotional flexibility in a low-stakes way. Building forts, reorganizing a room, or doing hands-on projects like model kits gives the brain a sense of mastery and completion. Even simple activities like walking the dog, gardening, or helping wash the car provide rhythmic movement and purpose that screens cannot offer. When you replace screens with these types of activities, you're not just keeping them busy, you're retraining the nervous system to regulate through real-world input instead of artificial stimulation. Over time, this is what builds resilience. This is what strengthens emotional tolerance. This is what teaches the brain that discomfort passes and that regulation comes from within, not from a device. When screens are reduced or removed, parents are often shocked by what returns: creativity, emotional range, better sleep, improved frustration tolerance, more connection. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without discomfort, but it does happen. A nervous system that no longer relies on artificial stimulation begins to build internal regulation. And that is the skill your child will need for the rest of their life, not unlimited access to dopamine, but the ability to tolerate discomfort and recover from it. If you want to learn more and a deeper dive into what screen time does to your child, you can listen to my episode When Screens Hijack the ADHD Brain, Video Games, Social Media, and Dysregulation. Another episode that would be helpful as well: You're Not Bad at Parenting. Your ADHD household is missing proper systems. You can find both links in the show notes. This episode is for educational purposes and to provide support. It is not a substitute for professional mental health evaluation, diagnosis, or treatment. The more we understand what is actually happening in a neurodivergent nervous system, the more confident we can become in making decisions that feel hard but heal deeply. As someone who has been married for over 30 years and raised a neurodivergent child into a thriving adult, I want you to know this: leadership does not damage children. Inconsistent, fear-based parenting does. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode gave you clarity or courage, I invite you to share it with another parent who's stuck in the same cycle. You can find more resources at thepathtopecetherapy.com, follow me on Instagram at thepathtopecetherapy, or email me directly at stephanieb@thepathtopecetherapy.com. And as always, take a deep breath, give yourself some grace, and remember, peace is possible, and you don't have to do this alone.